Rejection hurts. Does anybody deny that rejection hurts? If you don't say rejection hurts, maybe you haven't experienced rejection. But rejection hurts. And rejection is to deny someone or something. And when we experience rejection, and sometimes we experience rejection at an early age in life, when we don't make certain teams, or we didn't get on certain boards, or we didn't get into certain friend circles, and sometimes we carry this on with us as we get a little older. Rejection makes us question our value and question our worth. Sometimes we wonder, when we're dealing with a sting of rejection, we wonder why we weren't good enough. And we start to question why we wasn't chosen. And we start to begin to see ourselves the way the people have rejected us see us. And I want you to know that this is a trick of the enemy. Because a lot of times, because people feel that we're not supposed to be at their level, or we're not doing what they're doing, and we weren't raised how they're raised, then they feel that we don't have any potential and that there isn't any greatness in us. But I want you to know this morning that the devil is a lie. Sometimes we have to let the devil know, devil, you a lie, because I know what I possess on the inside of me. It's sometimes we put more value in what other people think of us than what we really think of ourselves. And I want you to know, as a man of God and a woman of God, you have to know who you are. You have to know what you possess. And we can't let people belittle our potential and make us feel like because we're in a temporary season of defeat and we're dealing with a little lack and we're dealing with a little confusion, that our situation is always going to be this way. I want you to know that sometimes people can't get past your history. You know, they feel like when you tell people where you grew up from and you start to say, I came from Sunnyside, they say, oh, that's the hood. And then you start to tell them you came from South Park, and they wonder what good can come from South Park. Isn't the crime hall over there? And you start to tell them that you came from Cloverland, and they start to just want to write you off because of where you were raised. And you have some people, because of who your siblings are, they feel like, well, they all the same. If his brother was a thief and his sister was a robber, they all are the same, you know. There's no way that you can be any different. And then sometimes people like to belittle us because they feel like our parents didn't graduate from high school and our parents didn't get a degree. So they feel like if that's what your mommy and daddy was, how can you be anything greater than that? You know, some people say if your daddy was an alcoholic, you're going to be an alcoholic. Does anybody know what I'm talking about this morning? Sometimes people so focused on your history that they don't understand your destiny. Sometimes you want to talk about where I used to be, and you want to talk about what I used to do, and you want to talk about when I was playing with jacks when I was a kid, and you want to talk about what I did in my teens, but talk about what I'm doing right now. See, sometimes people so hung up on your past, they don't understand where you're going. Sometimes some people want to understand, how can something big come from something so small? Does anybody know what I'm talking about this morning? See, we have to understand who we are. Sometimes when people leave our life, and sometimes when people break up with us, and sometimes when people file papers on us, and sometimes when people dismiss us, we feel like, well, we weren't good enough, and we don't understand why they wanted that other one over us. But I want you to understand something about rejection. That's God's resurrection. Sometimes it's a blessing God pulling you away from certain people. Sometimes you can't see what's always in somebody's heart. I want you to know that when we experience rejection, a lot of times we question the best part of us because we feel like, I thought they thought more of me. And I thought that they saw that I was trying. I thought that they understood what I had been through. They understood that my heart was already a little wobbly. And I came from a little dysfunction. And I came with some baggage. And I came with some hang-ups. And I thought they loved me enough to hang around. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Sometimes people say they love you, but they don't want all his hometown now. This should have been a celebration because of who Jesus is, and he's coming back to his hometown. And anybody know when Jesus is in the neighborhood, great things is getting ready to happen. And so he started teaching to the people, and they were just amazed at what was coming out of his mouth. And they said, wow, where is he getting all these miracles and all this wisdom for? And they were sitting there and they was astonished and they was amazed. And I want you to know, 1 minute they cheering for you. The next minute they smearing you. I want you to understand, your biggest hater used to be your fan. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? 1 minute they blessing your name. The next minute they cursing your name. They were so shocked and astonished at him that this was some good stuff. But then they thought about who it was coming from. Now, he's saying some good stuff. And I know that it's true. And I ain't never heard nothing like this before. As I'm listening to it, it's pulling on me. It isn't touching me. But here comes the old devil. Isn't that the carpenter? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? They started to see Jesus just as a carpenter. And to add insult, they say, isn't that Mary's son? And isn't his brothers and them, James and them and his sister is over here with us? And then they became offended. I want you to understand how the devil starts to do things. 1 minute, you're shouting my name. And 1 minute, you're standing and you're clapping for me. But the next minute, you done turned your back on me. Because you focused on who I used to be. Everybody know what I'm talking about. Some people want to keep on talking to you about who you used to be. Can you realize that I am no longer like that? Can I tell you something? If you can't see who I am, that don't mean I'm not who I am. That means you need to adjust your vision. Because there's something wrong with your eyes. I know who I am. Not only do I know who I am, but I know where I'm going. And guess what? Maybe you ain't coming along with me, but it's not going to change. God is getting ready to do something in my life. They became offended. They started to say, I don't know who this man think he is, but he's just like one of us. I don't know who he think he is. Maybe he kid got the big head, and maybe he forgot about where he came from, and he up here talking about all this good stuff. But it's hard for me to get past what he's talking about, because I remember when we was little, and I want you to understand, some people can't see your potential because they don't see it in themselves. Some people can't see your potential because they can't see past who they are. I want you to understand something about purpose. If you don't know your purpose, there is no way you're going to tell me about my purpose. If you don't know how great you are, there's no way you're going to tell me that I'm not great. I want you to know, Jesus didn't get mad at you. How many of you know you got to kill people with kindness? Some people still want to fight with people because they're running down your rap sheet. You don't got to convince nobody about who you are. Let them run down them charges. Let them run down them background checks. Let them run it down. Let them run it down. Because I want you to know I'm not that person no more. Jesus let them know. Is there not a prophet? Hold up now. Didn't we just call him the carpenter? And Jesus is letting him know, no, I am the prophet. I'm not worried about what's coming out of your mouth. I'm worried about what's coming out of my mouth. He said, is there not no honor except in his own hometown? In his own home. I want you to understand something. There's some people that's been real close to you since y'all was in diapers. I want to go all the way back to the diaper days. Y'all was sleeping in that crib together. Y'all was sipping on them Capri Suns together. Y'all was out there running in the sun barefoot together. Y'all was sitting there with y'all backpacks together. Y'all was sitting there watching Ninja Turtles together. Y'all was sitting there playing in Chuck E. Cheese together. I want you to understand when you go way back with somebody, I want you was with them together. And they understand the pain it took you to get to where you at. They understand the price you paid to be where you at. They should know that you're real enough to know that because I'm here, I'm taking you along with me. But because I got here, now you Don't get so caught up on who it should be. Because God is getting ready to do a new thing. I want you to understand that because of their hearts and their unbelief, that it was so much that Jesus could do. It was some things that he couldn't do for those people. And I want you to tell you, the Bible tells us that Jesus left. But I want you to pay attention to this. He didn't leave by himself. He left with his disciples. He came with his disciples, and he left with his disciples. I want you to know, where you going, God can already attach some people to you. There's going to be some people in your life that's going to stand by you no matter what. And God is going to let them go with you. Don't worry about who's not with you in this season. A lot of times you need to realize who really got your back before you bless the wrong people. He said he was amazed at their unbelief. Now I want you to see how the devil plays games with people. He came to do great things. He came to work miracles. I know there was somebody in the audience that needed a breakthrough. There was somebody that needed a healing. There was somebody that needed a blessing. But because they started listening to everybody else, somebody in here mad at somebody because of what somebody else said. I want you to know, don't miss your blessing because of what somebody else is saying about somebody. I want you to know, there was a lot of people that didn't get their blessing. Now, you was talking about me and calling me the carpenter. You was talking about me and saying I was Mary's son. You was talking about me, about my brothers and sisters. And all that hating did was cause you to miss out on your blessing. Does anybody understand what I'm talking about? All hating does is cause you to miss your blessing. All hating is going to do is cause you to miss the main thing that you need this morning. All that hating didn't stop Jesus from blessing somebody else. All that hating didn't stop him from going to the next village and performing those miracles. I want somebody to understand this morning. Somebody needs to let the devil know this morning. Somebody needs to stir themselves up this morning. And you need to make sure in your spirit for anybody that's trying to count you out. I know the spirit is moving in this place. Somebody trying to count you out. I want somebody here to say, it's your loss. Move on if you want to. Move on if you want to. Move on if you want to. Go ahead and write me off if you want to. Turn your back on me if you want to. I know I may not look like much now. I know you may not think it's going to get any better. So go ahead and write me off if you want to. I can promise you this. Do you understand where I'm going with that? I can promise you this. It's going to be your loss. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Don't call me next year. It's going to be your loss. Don't call me when I get that promotion. It's going to be your loss. Don't call me when you see me winning. It's going to be your loss. As I come to my close, I want to tell you a story. And I want you to know that God can turn things around. When we are children of God, don't ever look at us and think you know the whole story. Don't ever look at us and think you understand our destiny. Just in a blink of an eye, I could be doing one thing this day, and the next day I could be doing something totally different. I want you to understand that's how God deals with his children. There was a client, and she had just got a good promotion, and she had everything that she could need at the time, and she said, I just want a good old Christian man. And I said, well, I mean, that's the way to go about it. And I had a perfect guy in mind, and she met him. And at the time, he was selling CDs and gospel CDs and DVDs on his lunch break. And when she came in and he talked to her, he had some dirt under his nails because he changed tires for a living. And when she saw that dirt on his nails, she had already had up in her mind, I'm not going to give him my number. And he said, I just want to take you to Bible study, and I want to take you out to eat. And she was like, oh, no, No, maybe next time. And so when he left, I asked her, I said, what was wrong? She said, did you see that dirt under his nails? No, I can do better than that. And I said, hey, he's a man of God. I think you should give that one more look again. But she couldn't be bothered with it. I want you to know that God got a way of turning things around. I want you to know some years later, the recession hit. And she lost her job. And she found herself needing some tires. And you know, when our money get a little funny, we want to go somewhere where we know we can get the hookup. Because I don't want to pay full price. I need to get the hookup. So she went up there looking for this particular guy because she knew that he liked her. But how do you know that was some years ago? Things change. Don't keep sitting there and having to think about somebody that wants you now. I want you to know sometimes they want you now, but some years later, things can change. She went up there and she asked for him, and they said, yeah, I know him. And she said, well, here's my number and name. Can you let him know who I mean, he knows me. You know, he knows who I am. And so the little girl, Jess was a little confused, but she was like, okay. And she said, yeah, let him know that it's an emergency. So she said, well, ma'am, I want you to understand that he don't work on them tires no more. I want you to understand that the same one that was rotating tires now was the district manager. Do you understand what I'm talking about? The same one that was pushing them CDs now is the district manager. When she heard the district manager, she got all excited. My man is the district manager. The devil is alive. She said, oh no. Yeah, I'll wait. When he gonna be back in? And the girl looked and she said, excuse me? And she said, yeah, I need to get with him. And she pushed the number back. And she said, ma'am, he's married with children. If he was available, we all would have him right about now. And then she came to me and she said, Amanda, that woman stole my man. That woman stole your man. He wasn't your man when he was selling CDs. He wasn't your man when his fingernails was dirty. He wasn't your man when he was hustling between jobs. Now that he's a district manager, he's your man. The devil is a lie. That's somebody else's man. I want you to understand what somebody don't see in you, somebody else will. Somebody may not see the best in you, and somebody may not see your potential, but I can guarantee you this. God got somebody else in line that's going to say, baby, I got your back. We going to get this money together. We in this together. I want somebody to understand that rejection is God's redirection. And I want you to understand it's not up for nobody else to